Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of God's creation. It's the 31st of March, 2026, and as always, the media is lying to you, and because of that,
you won't be trusted anymore.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, scream it, Dave. Yeah, pull your hair out. Oh, my gosh. I tell you, the hits just keep on coming. Welcome, dear listener, to the Tuesday edition of the WTF Reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist, and yes, I took the day off yesterday. For some reason, I was just really busy all weekend, and for some reason, I just couldn't get my act together yesterday. I was just really exhausted, and my brain wasn't functioning, and I said, okay, I'm just going to do a replay, and I collapsed back in bed and slept for like 3.5 hours and woke up in a puddle of my own drool. I mean, I was just out of it yesterday. So I don't know, is anybody else feeling that type of fatigue? I don't know, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in this world, and I can't put my finger on it, but I know that something's coming, something big. Anyway, okay, where do we get started? Okay, let's... They got a bunch of things to get to today. I have to laugh. These people with the No Kings protests, some of them were being interviewed in the streets, and I don't know. These people are just, I don't know. Not all of them. I'm not going to make a generalization like that. But I mean, the No Kings protests, some of the interviews that people were having, and you heard about the Straits of Hormuz, right? Well, there are some folks that are very confused about, they say, about the Strait of Hormuz, and there was a guy that was asking questions. Now, I don't know. This is so stupid. It is so stupid, I have to think it was staged. Okay, listen to this interview. Some guy was out in one of the crowds, and by the way, there were huge protests all over the country, and I'm just in a little town, and I would say that there were probably between 2,000 and 3,000 people marching down the streets in my little town. I know they were all over the country, but, and a lot of conservatives were joining them, too, and I understand why. A lot of folks are looking at this insanity that's going on over there in Iran, and I'll get to that in a couple of seconds, but I have to laugh at this. This is so stupid it has to have been staged. Listen to this.
Isn't it a little bit homophobic that we're so focused on the Straits of Hormuz and not the gays of Hormuz?
Yes, I agree. Yes, for sure.
Why do you think they're willing to leave the gays of Hormuz behind?
I think it's just historically, gays have always been very discriminated against, which is wrong on so many levels.
Even in war.
Yeah, even in war. It just takes more reform in government, obviously, and then also educating society.
I just feel like if we're going to go in there, we can't leave the gay people behind.
Right,
I don't think we should go in there at all, but if we're going to, the gays of Hormuz, we could turn it into Fire Island.
Okay, we could turn it into Fire Island. Oh, my gosh. The Straits of Hormuz versus the gays of Hormuz. Wow. Oh, my gosh. I mean, that's... I have to laugh. I hope that you're laughing as well. But anyway, there was another question here that someone was asking. And I have to tell you, the interviewer, the woman that has the microphone, she was talking to another woman who has very blue hair. And listen to this question and the answer.
They are still human beings. So you don't care if they're the worst criminal in the world and they have raped and murdered children. They're okay and they're still human beings and they should be here?
I believe that they are human beings and that they deserve dignity just as everybody else.
You think child rapists deserve dignity?
Absolutely, I do. They are still human beings.
So you don't care if they're the worst criminal in the world and they have raped and murdered children. They're okay and they're still human beings and they should be here?
I believe that they are human beings and that they deserve dignity just as everybody else.
Okay. All righty. So child rapists and murderers deserve dignity. Okie dokie. I tell you, we're living in a clown world. And, by the way, you regular listeners know that I've been talking about Mike Huckabee and Ted Cruz and many others deliberately misquoting the scriptures to their own for their own advantage. And in particular, I'm talking about, God's chosen people. Yeah, God said, I will bless those who bless Israel and curse those who curse Israel. Of course, that's not what it says. But Mike Huckabee has misquoted that. I have it already. I played it several times. I have 3 times, and now I got 4 times that he's misquoting the scriptures for his own benefit. Yeah. Okay, let me see. Let me cue this up. And here it is.
I get asked all the time because I'm a Christian, and they say, well, why are you so supportive of the Jewish people? I said, you can be Jewish. You don't have to have anything to do with Christians. But you can't be a Christian and not understand that your entire faith is built on the foundation of Judaism. So for Christians, we look at this as an obligation, a moral debt.
Moral obligation.
We must repay. And therefore, I don't understand anyone who says, I'm a Christian, but I don't really want to support the Jews. Well, how can you do that? But it is not the view of those of us who are what I would call biblical believers that accept that what the scripture says about the Jewish people. And
what does it say?
12, those who bless Israel will be blessed. Those who curse Israel will be cursed. It gets pretty simple. I say there's a miracle every day in this country.
Misquoting again. Okay, that's 4 times now. Now, this is absolutely deliberate. This is not a mistake. This is not, a slip of the tongue or I wasn't thinking. No, they're doing it deliberately to manipulate the masses. And I don't understand why people don't call him on that and how he can absolutely continue to scream about, God's chosen people and God should bless those who bless Israel, etc., etc. And let me see, did you also hear that Ted Cruz has now stated that if you say Christ is king, that's anti-Semitic hate speech? Yeah, Ted Cruz, who claims to be a Christian. You can't say Christ is king. No, that's anti-Semitic hate speech. Right. Moving and moving the goalposts. Let me see. Here's a young woman that was talking about the Schofield Bible. And again, the Schofield Bible, look up the history. You can figure that out. Those of you who listen to this broadcast know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, here's what a young woman said about the Schofield Bible.
I just want to say that I feel like the Schofield Reference Bible and the notes have done a lot of damage to the body of Christ, and that it's unfortunate. And I just pray that the scales come off of the church's eyes so that they can see the truth, so that they can see what's going on before the entire world gets blown up by the Rothschilds, satanic pedophile cult of Israel. That's all I have to say. I just want to say that
Okay, that's all she has to say. Well, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. Anyway, let's see. What else am I going to get to? Oh, yeah. Mark Rubio. I mean, you want to talk about hypocrisy. Marco Rubio, oh my gosh. I'm stunned. Listen to this clip from Marco Rubio. Let me see here if I get this queued up. And, okay, hit this button. I don't have a producer, folks. I got to do this manually. Okay, here's Marco Rubio. Listen carefully.
And at the end of the day, I think that if there are people in Iran who now, given everything that's happened, are willing to move in a different direction for their country, that would be great. Imagine in Iran that instead of spending their wealth, billions of dollars supporting terrorists or weapons, had spent that money helping the people of Iran, you'd have a much different country. So we are always hopeful that that would exist over there.
Okay. I want to hear that again. I'm sorry the level was low. I had to do some adjustments over the weekend.
At the end of the day, I think that if there are people in Iran who now, given everything that's happened, are willing to move in a different direction for their country, that would be great. Imagine in Iran that instead of spending their wealth, billions of dollars supporting terrorists or weapons, had spent that money helping the people of Iran.
Okay, I'm going to stop her. Instead of spending the money on weapons, what if they spent it on the people and help them out? That's basically what he's saying. Well, let me point out to you, Mr. Rubio, you should have these numbers. Did you know that the military budget for Iran is about they've spent about $15 billion. Boy, that's a lot of money. How much does the U.S. spend on weapons of destruction? $900 billion. So, I got a little problem with that. And anyway, let me see. Here's another clip here. This was a little synopsis of what's going on with the war over there in Iraq. And I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's about a 4 or 5 minute discussion about all the military actions that are going on over there. But they lost me right in the beginning. And again, there's so much propaganda and so many lies that are being put out there. So all we could do is try to catch them in their lies because we don't know what the truth is. But we can figure out what the lie is, okay? So this was posted by Mads Palsvig. Palsvig. Yeah, that's his name there. And anyway, just listen. I'm just going to play the first. It's about a minute and a half clip here, but we only have to hear the first couple of seconds. Listen to this.
Breaking news. The 82nd Airborne Division of the U.S. military was ambushed by Iran, suffering a devastating blow. Hundreds of medical helicopters were dispatched to Kuwait in an emergency. Yeah. This war initiated by Iran has...
What did you say? This war that was initiated by... Let's hear that again.
Hundreds of medical helicopters were dispatched to Kuwait in an emergency. This war initiated by Iran has shocked the entire world.
Yes, initiated by Iran. Iran started the war? Gee, that's not the way I remember it here. You know, there was the school in Nadib. I'm not pronouncing that properly. But 160, 170 little girls... children and teachers that were destroyed, killed, massacred with a triple tap. You know what a double tap is when they hit a location with a missile, and then all the people go in to try to rescue the injured and retrieve the dead bodies and stuff like that, and about 10 or 15 minutes later, while all the people have gathered in there to gather their loved ones, they get hit again. And then that's a double tap. And then when that happens, and then more people try to come back, they figure, okay, to double tap, it's over. We can get in there and start, rescuing and, the injured and the dead, et cetera, et cetera. And then they get hit again. That's a triple tap. So, Iran started the war? No, I don't think so. And you know what? The other thing is that I guess Trump has made it illegal. He's basically put he's censoring American casualties from this war. They're calling it classified information. So they're not going to show you, the transport planes that are bringing back the coffins draped with American flags. They're not going to show you that. No, they don't want you to know how many of our guys and gals are being blown to smithereens over there. And, okay, let's see. What else? I mean, this is just crazy. Oh, yeah, last Friday, I was talking about the extraterrestrial, the UFO thing. We were talking about Ingersoll Lockwood, that website. And by the way, if you haven't checked out the Ingersoll Lockwood website, you need to do that. It's a fascinating exploration, shall we say. So to go to IngersollLockwood.com and start scrolling around into the text and move your cursor around very carefully on every letter, every space, every punctuation mark, and even every empty space. What you can do is click and drag your cursor, and you'll find there's a whole bunch of hidden stuff in there. Anyway, and a lot of it has to do with extraterrestrials. Yeah, with back engineering downed spacecraft, with documents from the Pentagon. As a matter of fact, there's the Pentagon's 2022 assessment of UAPs and UFOs. That's in there. So anyway, and I have to ask the question, why is it that we're seeing in our social media feeds, and I noticed that in Facebook, I noticed it in Telegram and in X. There's a lot of posts now that people are putting out about UFOs and extraterrestrials. And a lot of people, and why is it now? I mean, people have been talking about that for forever. But now, for some reason, they've really, jacked it up a bit. Now, there's this guy, Chris Bledsoe, and he was interviewed back in 2012. And I think you might find this really an interesting conversation. I'm going to play. This is about it's almost 2 minutes. But listen to what this guy has to say, and I have to take a little bit, I got to say, I think that there's a lot of truth in what he's saying. I don't buy it 100%, but maybe 95%. But either way, with the increase of posts having to do with extraterrestrials, with orbs, and all this, spooky alien stuff. Why are they doing it now? Are they setting us up for Operation Blue Beam? I don't know. But listen to Chris Bledsoe. And this is, he was being interviewed on News Nation. So give a listen to this.
April 2026.
Yeah.
And, okay, you've put yourself in it there, Chris.
It's okay.
It's going to be, Chris Bledsoe says April 2026 is when it all happens.
Well, no, I said this in my book. So let's revert back to my book. My book clearly states what Chris said. Is the lady explained to me that in April of 26, there would be an alignment where this star, which is a blue star, of Regulus appears on the horizon in front of the Sphinx, and it would be red.
You know what? This is right.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. He's talking about a vision that he had. He said in another interview that an orb had come down and presented itself to him and basically explained that the orb was a divine feminine. No, just and this is what he said. I'm just sharing with you what he said. Anyway, he was given a vision. He said he saw it just like it was a movie screen right in front of him, and she was showing him what was going to happen in April of 2026, and that starts tomorrow. Anyway, here's what she said to him.
I've actually spoken to astronomers. This is the phenomenal thing about this.
Yeah, and she said it'll be red, and when that happens, it would mark a shift into a new knowledge, not an apocalypse. That's what she told me. It doesn't mean Jesus is coming back. There's a new knowledge that's coming. What is that? Is it under the pyramids they've discovered something? Is it the Hall of Records? Is it...
Okay, I'm going to pause it. I'm going to pause it again.
I've got to put myself in the position of this.
I hit the wrong mouse. Yeah, remember last year people were talking about what they'd found underneath the pyramids. Now, if you didn't hear about that, you could do a little bit of a search on that, and they found, well, there were a bunch of researchers from France and Italy that were using some type of Doppler technology and satellites, et cetera, to shoot sound waves under the pyramids of Giza. Now, everybody knows those things are huge. I mean, they're gargantuan pyramids. But what they found under the pyramids went down approximately 2 kilometers. A huge, I mean, bigger than the pyramids themselves, a huge structure underneath the pyramids. And the way they were illustrating it, it appeared to have 8 long cylinders with a spiral, a coil, or something like that around them. And then at the bottom of these 8 tubes or cylinders, whatever, there were 2 huge chambers, and each one is about 80 meters squared. Okay, so that's been going on in Egypt. Of course, the Egyptologists are all upset about this, as saying it's not true. But then they sent in another team to see if they couldn't debunk this discovery. And what they ended up doing is confirming it. So there's something underneath the pyramids. We don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it's been there for a long, long time. The pyramids were built on top of it. So we're talking not just tens of thousands, but possibly hundreds of thousands of years old. So I don't know. I'm just sharing with you what I've heard and what was reported. Anyway, he's going to finish up here. Listen to this.
Genetic debunkers. They're practically wetting themselves right now. They're so angry.
I love it.
They're sitting there at home going, oh my God, this is such drivel. Incredulous as cooked up listening to this Chris Bledsoe guy. Why couldn't we believe her? Is it possible she's deceiving you? Even if she is a divine being, an advanced being, couldn't she just be pulling your leg?
Well, she could be, but I can tell you this. When I told this to the government about 2026, I just repeated what she told me. They immediately put remote viewers on it. And all of a sudden, all the remote viewers are saying, oh my God, 2026, 2027, something is going to happen. We don't know what, but something.
Now, one of the things that she told him, whoever this entity or spirit or divine being was, is that when you see the missiles flying between Israel and Iran, now that's what she said, 2012. When you see missiles flying between Israel and Iran, that's when the veil will be lifted. Now, I'm going to just let that sit there. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but I'm just sharing you what's being reported, okay? And I kind of think that could be really pertinent information. So, and like I said, last Friday, I was talking about Ingersoll Lockwood. I also shared my own personal experiences. When I was a kid, my dad was Air Force. He was a pilot, test pilot, trainer pilot, he was a head honcho. He was a top gun. And I was, we were stationed up in Elmendorf Air Force Base in Anchorage, Alaska. And that's when I saw my first, what I will call a UFO. It was an unidentified flying object and shot straight down from the sky and stopped right in front of me. Well, when I say right in front of me, I mean the mountains were about 10 miles away, and this thing stopped. I could still see the mountains behind it. So it was in my general location. But anyway, I talked about that last Friday. And so that was my first of 5 sightings that I've had in my lifetime. So I know something's going on. And whether it be back-engineered technology that we have, or whether it's technology that we have no explanation about. And it could very well be both. As a matter of fact, we've heard about Operation Blue Beam, the possibility that they may fake an alien invasion. Maybe that's what they're referring to. I don't know. But I do know that there are some very, very interesting times ahead of us. So, anyway, oh yeah, by the way, the phone lines are open. If you want to call in, if you've got an opinion on some of the stuff that I'm talking about, you're welcome to join me. And the phone number here is 215-867-8255. So, let's see here. Oh, gosh, there's so much more stuff here. And I realize that I'm sort of all over the place in a shotgun blast. I mentioned a couple of minutes ago that Ted Cruz is now in agreement that if anybody says Christ is king, that's an anti-Semitic hate speech slogan. Well, I'll tell you, they're trying desperately to shut down any criticism of Israel. And again, those folks over there, they're imposters. They're not who they say they are. And for you regular listeners, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So anyway, here is Yehuda Kaplun, and he was making a statement. Let me see. He is the U.S. Special Envoy and monitoring U.S. Special Envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism. There it is. Okay, so this is what he had to say.
The scourge of anti-Semitism must be defeated anywhere and everywhere that it exists. As we just heard before, from holding universities accountable to using laws within the Justice Department, existing laws, to hold and prosecute crimes against the Jewish community, from preventing people from working and going to worship in their shuls. And then, as was touched on very briefly, but a visa vetting program that we are just beginning now to see the results. The scourge of anti-Semitism must be defeated anywhere and everywhere that it exists. As we just heard before, from holding universities accountable to using laws within the Justice Department, existing laws, to hold and prosecute crimes against the Jewish community, from preventing people from working and going to worship in their shuls. And then, as was touched on very briefly, but a visa vetting program that we are just beginning now to see the results. The scourge of anti-Semitism.
Okay, so that's his statement. Now, again, excuse me, again, they are equating anybody talking about Zionism with means they're talking about Judaism. Now, they are desperate to make sure that everybody thinks that's the same thing, but it's not. And again, everybody's starting to notice what Israel has been doing all this time, all right? I mean, they're liars, they're terrorists, they deceive, and I'm not saying it's all the Jews, okay, don't get into that. But I'm saying is that you have a sociopathic death cult that has been running Israel. And again, the motto of the Israeli Mossad and the IDF is, by means of deception, thou shalt make war. They're going to lie, they're going to kill, and they're commanded to do so. So the point is that if this is the modus operandi of the Israeli government, and the Israeli government has infiltrated and taken over our government, then that means that our government is in line with the philosophy of lying and killing. So anybody who's in a position of power who happens to have that blue star, they're joined at the hip with liars and murderers. I mean, this is how I see it. I could be wrong, but I mean, I look at the mainstream media, and you regular listeners know I've been on this, on this for over 30 years. That's what the opening song is all about. You won't be trusted anymore, because that's what they do. That's what they're commanded to do, because whoa. All right, okay, I'll grab this phone call right off the bat. Okay, all right, let's see, who's that? Okay, it looks like the phone number. Oh, there's Cynthia. Hi, Cynthia, how you doing?
Well, pretty good. What are we going to do about all the dual citizens who are traitors who are in the military at the higher levels? They almost never are enlisted people. They're almost always officers.
Well, yeah, I don't know how many actually military personnel are dual citizens. I'm more concerned with our legislators, our senators and congresspersons who are dual citizens. That is even more terrifying, because your militaries, I mean, they're there to follow orders. So,
Operation Speed was sent to the Pentagon.
Operation what?
Warp Speed.
Okay, yeah.
Warp Speed.
Uh-huh.
They are our enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And they're high up in the Pentagon. And I've never heard Trump actually come back at them.
Well, I mean, who was it? I was saying that they were at the Pentagon, and a bunch of Mossad agents came in there and basically took over. We're telling everybody what to do. I can't remember who it was. But, we have been taken over. Oh, let me see. Are you still there, Cynthia? Huh, what's happening here? I don't know what happened. Let me see. Cynthia's on hold. Gosh, I don't know what happened there. I'm trying to figure out how to work this electronic phone here on the computer. Oh, Cynthia's gone. Okay, somebody's there. Who's the caller there? Huh. Oh, well. I don't know what happened there. All right, I'm just going to disconnect. Anybody who wants to call in? Okay, there we go. I don't know what happened there. Sorry, Cynthia, if I disconnected you. Sorry.
Dave.
Whoa.
Dave.
Whoa. Hello, Mike.
Dave.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I'm going to decline. What's going on with this phone? Is there anybody there? Is that Mike? What the heck? Okay. I think I got you this time.
It's Mike.
Okay, I thought I recognized that phone number.
I was hoping that you could turn it into a group call. What Cynthia was saying, Hegseth got in trouble yesterday because he fired a lot of high-ranking military officers because of their dual citizenship, and he questioned their allegiance.
Oh, that's some good news. Okay, I mean,
and so he got called out, and he was on the news, and he was right. So, but I did not mean to cut her off. I didn't know you can take more than one call.
Yeah. Okay. Well, she's trying to call back in now. Now I figure I could send her to voicemail. Cynthia, just hang in there. I'm going to talk to Mike, and then you can call back again. Unfortunately, I don't know how to merge phone calls on this Zoom workplace program. I'm technologically challenged here. Okay, go ahead, Mike. Hello?
All right. Well,
Mike, talk to me.
Okay. Yes, I'm here.
Well, listen to your phone. Don't listen to the radio or the computer. Listen to the phone.
Okay, yeah, because it's making a big difference. So anyways, going back to what you're talking about, you're talking about UFOs. You and I were having a discussion about who are the UFOs, who are the aliens.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to bring that up.
Well, trying to figure that out because, there are a lot of folks out there that say they're the fallen angels or they're demons. And there are other folks that are saying, yeah, there are fallen angels and demons, but there's also angels. I mean, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Michael. I mean, there are good. It's sort of like, are you a good witch or are you a bad witch? I mean, I think that there are malevolent and benevolent spirits out there.
Yeah, wouldn't it make sense that all the universes and all the planets in those universes were evil?
Yeah.
You know, God makes good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so anyways, so, I mean, that's a big question. And, you know, within, you know, we're thinking like within a week, there may be disclosure. But
well, see, that's what I'm getting
every
at.
day.
That's what I'm getting at. Is that there's all this stuff that's on the social media feeds. All of a sudden, there's an explosion of posts having to do with aliens, UFOs, the Sphinx. You know, all this stuff is coming to a head. So I don't know. I get the distinct impression that you know, if the United States or Israel or Russia or any other country starts using nukes, then there may be some sort of intervention. If there are extraterrestrials, the ETs, they've obviously will have been here for millennia, and they don't want these stupid human beings to blow up that whole doggone planet. I mean, I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. Would you go to a daycare center and throw a whole bunch of loaded guns on the floor and let the kids play with them? Well, that's sort of like what we're like with all of these weapons of mass. We could blow up the world, and ET does not want that to happen. So they might just take us to our knees. So anyway, that's just my thought on that subject.
Well, I agree. I mean, I absolutely agree. You know, that the ETs will intervene. You know, and I had a UFO experience. I was on Route 15 coming back from a gig at 4 o'clock in the morning, and there was a blue light that was coming up behind me, and I'm like, you know, what does the cop want? I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the blue light wasn't a cop, and it encased the car, okay? And then I came back from whatever they did,
mm-hmm.
and it was 2.5 hours later. And I was shook up and I was scared, but I don't know what happened during that time. At the same time, on the side of the road was a group of people that were wearing black robes, and they had hoods. And no, I wasn't asleep. And they weren't walking. They had no feet. They were gliding on the side of the road.
Wow.
Yeah, that was it. I'm still terrified even thinking about it, but that's one thing that happened.
And you had
Don't
time
know how
loss?
it all tied together, but I had time and memory loss.
Okay, I was just going to say you lost 2.5 hours of time.
Yep.
Wow.
Just
okay.
gone.
I've heard that happen.
What did they do?
I've heard about that happening. Yep.
And this kind of stuff doesn't happen to everybody. Unfortunately, you and I were picked. But but with the ETs, you know, I do believe that they're demons. I do believe there's going to be benevolent ETs, but I think the demonic ones are going to outnumber the good ones. And I also agree that the bad ones are going to try to goad us, you know, further into war and nuclear destruction. And the ETs, the good ETs, are here to stop that somehow. But they may already be here working with the governments of the world, which is why we haven't actually had a nuclear strike. But then again, we may have been hitting Iran with mini nuclear bombs, which is already going to be polluting the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
So how far has this gone?
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, you're asking some good questions. I mean, I remember back in the first Gulf War, you know, back in the 90s, you know, George Bush Sr. and Norman Schwarzkopf, we were lobbing depleted uranium rounds over there. And that uranium, those uranium-tip munitions, when they hit the target, they aerosolize. They get in the air, they get in the land, they get in the water, and they're radioactive for 4.5 billion years. So we've been polluting and destroying this planet, and it's not like the planet can't heal, but that takes a long time to heal. And ET's got all the time in the world, you know. And we also discussed the idea that, you know, that we've talked about past civilizations that rise to power and then they disappear. You know, we've seen that with the Egyptians. We've seen that with the Peruvians, the Aztecs. I mean, all these civilizations, they rise to a huge, you know, technological. What about Atlantis? What about Tartaria? And all of a sudden, bang, they're gone. Okay?
Right now, and this is interesting, it's happening now, there is a flood of information about Tartaria on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Just
I've been seeing it.
Tons of stuff. Excuse me. With photographic and video evidence. Because they're overlapped currently. And then as you were talking about civilizations, there's a 2,500-year cycle, and we're at the end of that 2,500-year cycle.
Correct.
There's also a 10,000 and a 12,000-year cycle.
And a 36,000 cycle, too.
Right. So we're hitting the 2,500-year cycle right now.
Mm-hmm.
And every cycle had a different civilization. And we're heading to that because I think you were talking about it, Romulus, which is a blue star, is going to turn red and sometime this week be directly over the Sphinx.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to usher in some kind of new
a level of consciousness.
Age.
Yeah. And we were talking about this earlier. Now, it could be a coincidence, and I know how you feel about astrology because I'm not into astrology either. Okay.
Bible says no.
I get it. But all I'm saying is that it's a coincidence that when you go back in history, our recorded history only goes back about 6,000 years, okay? And that would predate the Old Testament. And then that particular period of time, that was the age of Taurus, the bull, Baal worship. You know, that's a coincidence. People were making human sacrifices and sacrificing children and doing blood sacrifice, and that was all Baal worship, okay? Then, at one point, when we passed from the age of Taurus, we went into age of Aries, the ram, and that was the beginning of the Old Testament, Judaism, the sheep, the ram's horn. It's a coincidence, yeah, but that's what represented the Old Testament and Judaism. And then at the end of that 25-year period of time, we moved into Pisces. And that coincidentally is where the New Testament came in and the birth of Jesus Christ. And remember, he fed the masses with a loaf of bread and 2 fish. Another coincidence. Pisces, 2 fish. And you see the back of people's cars and they got a fish and it says Jesus on it. Okay, so that was Pisces, 2 fish. So now we're at the end of Pisces, and Jesus said, I will be with you even until the end of the age. Not the end of the world, the end of the age. And this is the end of the age. We're moving into Aquarius. So what big revelational thing is going to happen? And this is why people are paying attention to all the folks out there, like this guy, Chris Bledsoe, that said that there's something big, some huge shift that's going to happen that's going to change humanity. So we could be on the edge of it. It could be happening. I mean, we got Easter Sunday coming up, Passover. We're right at the edge of that. So I don't know.
But if you go into end time prophecy, it doesn't go that way. And we're still missing. I mean, we have so much of the end time prophecies that have happened.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing UFOs, because it says we're going to see stuff in the skies. We're going to have mutated animals, waiting for that. We don't have the Antichrist, or maybe he is out there. Who knows? It's not Trump, sorry. Comes from Eastern Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But that hasn't happened. And then, we think about the changes, and I'm 70. You're 70 going on 14. Yeah, and it's like we already think about it, and we've discussed it. The air is different. The wind is different. The sky is different.
Yes.
The birds are different. Everything is different than the way it was when we were young.
Mm-hmm.
So something's already changed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have to say, maybe we're looking.
One thing that I see is more dead trees.
Yes. A lot of farmers are posting videos about, hey, look at this is my peach tree and this is my elm tree, and they're all dying. Yeah, I get it. And that's no surprise because of all the crap that they've been spraying over us for all these years. Of course, that's all conspiracy theory. You talk about chemtrails. Yeah. I gotcha. Mm-hmm. So, no, I think that you're right. And I think that unfortunately humanity, unless we get our stuff together, get our act together, we have to have a global reset. If you want to get biblical about it, God had to destroy the world because the seed had been corrupted by the Nephilim. And that's why he told Noah, get your act together, get that ark happening, because I'm going to flood the world. I have to clean out all of the bad seeds. So where are we today? Well, the mRNA technology, granted, it was man-made. It wasn't brought to us by the fallen angels. But then again, maybe it was. But then that doesn't make any difference. The point is that if most of the world's seed has been corrupted, and God doesn't like corrupted seeds, then He's going to have to wipe the slate clean and start over again. So I don't know. Maybe that's where we're at.
Well, there's something else which just got stuck in my craw. And one of the end-time prophecies is that heat and fire, the world's going to be destroyed by, or 1/3 of the world's going to be destroyed by fire, and the only safety you're going to have is within the rocks or underground. Now, so there's two things that could happen. One is, was that fire and intense heat caused by nuclear bombs, or was it caused by sunburst, because the sun right now has gone totally bonkers? Is there something goes wrong with the sun and we get hit with rays from the sun and that cooks the earth? So I'm thinking combination of both or nuclear.
Well, there's also the possibility of earthquakes and volcanoes. I mean, we know that every 38,000 years, for some reason, the Earth goes through some major facial changes. And you could see that is that, the archaeologists, they dig down and they got this era and this, the Jurassic period and then this period and that period. Every time they dig down and get down so many layers, something's completely different. They're mountaineers up in Alaska walking around and they find fossils of fish and shells and stuff like that at the top of a mountain, indicating that, gosh, this was underwater at one point. So maybe there was a pole shift, or maybe continents rose up from the bottom of the ocean and mountains fell down and got swallowed up by water. I don't know. So we could be looking at a major reset like that. I don't know. All I know is I'm not thinking about yesterday. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm thinking about right now. Be here now. Just, live.
Make sure that you are connected to God, that you've accepted Jesus Christ as your Savior. Yes, I'm a Christian, and I'm foisting this on Dave.
I'm just hoping he'll accept me.
You have the Holy Spirit in you, and you will survive this.
Well,
if you don't.
He talked to me many years ago, Jeremiah chapter 33. Talked about that many times, blowing the trumpet, being a watcher on the wall. And that's sort of like what would inspire me to become a talk show host all those years ago. So,
I know I got to go, but one more thing. The United States is in the middle of a Christian revival. More and more people are going to church than ever. Young people are discovering God and Jesus, and they're going to church, which is great. But last night, something special happened. I'm going to tell the story, Dave.
Okay, go ahead.
I was watching American Idol, and it was Christian songs. Now, that was because Carrie Underwood insisted on a night of Christian music. The contestants who refused to sing the Christian music, they were kicked off the show. They didn't go into the final 16 or 12 or whatever it was. They left, and there were some good singers in there, but they left, and they didn't make a big deal about bye-bye. They left like they were kicked out. But there was a boy that came on, I think he was 8 or 10, and he prayed on live TV, on American Idol, of all shows, and you feel the Holy Spirit. The whole show was electrifying. This kid was on fire as he prayed over the audience and the people watching the show. It was so... I get a Holy Spirit shiver when something like that happens, but then even better, at the end, Carrie Underwood came out and sang How Great It Art, and then 3 of the biggest Christian gospel singers came out and sang with her. And that Holy Spirit came out of that TV and just blessed me. I was actually in tears. And I already had the Holy Spirit, but what it meant to me is, Mike, you are connected. You may not see it and feel it every day, but Mike, you are connected to God. You are filled with the Spirit. Now, if anybody has to call up and reject this, that's fine. I get it. But it was a Holy Spirit moment. So when the repeat comes on, make sure you watch it, because this was so unusual for network people. I need to tell everybody about it. Watch the replay, because it was covered by the hand of God. And it was used to reach out to the audience of that show to bring them to God and to let them know that God is here. It was beautiful, and I still have that Holy Spirit shiver.
Well, I got to tell you, just the fact that they would do an American Idol show of Christian music, I mean, that's a major breakthrough right there, because Christianity has been under attack and continues to be under attack. And just the fact that they would do that is gives a little bit of hope there. Anyway, okay, Mike.
And pray on national TV. Pray.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yep. All right, I'll let you go. I got stuff to do.
Okay, well, thanks for the call. All right, you take care.
Okay.
All right, and Cynthia, if you're still out there, I apologize. I don't know how to work this doggone thing. I didn't mean to disconnect you. I'm not ignoring you and hanging up on you. But anyway, getting back to this whole thing about Christianity, Christians are under attack all across the world right now. And I just have to remind you that these imposters over there in Israel, they don't care about Christians. They don't. And for whatever reason, Mike Huckabee, Ted Cruz, and all the others, Randy Fine, I mean, they are, I don't know how they've been convinced. They're not stupid. Maybe they're blackmailed. I don't know. But they're definitely controlled. Maybe they're possessed. They claim to be Christians, and yet they're pushing this whole thing with Israel, and Israel wants to kill the Christians. I mean, and they make no bones about it. As a matter of fact, there was this rabbi, and I've seen him post by this guy many times. Just I'm going to give a quick listen. This is an Israeli rabbi basically telling you Christians what your status is. You goyim, that's what you are.
All place in the world that we will occupy in a war, milchemet mitzvah. We go to a war, we occupy. Let's say we occupy Lebanon. And over there's idol worshipping places. We have the same obligation to destroy it. Why? Because now we live there. We occupy the place.
Okay, I'm pausing it. Idol worshippers, that's the Christians. Okay? They want to destroy the Christians.
We occupy the place. The Torah say, "Uvi'ar ta'ara mikirbecha." Don't leave anything, any idols among you. So every place that you live in, and now you the original owner of the place now, you the new owner I should say, from now on you have the same obligation to purify the place from all the idols. Well, we're here now, right now, to learn what the law is. Even if the United States government would say, okay, hey, you're becoming too fanatic, the government, too religious, we'll give you $1 billion extra every year to the aid, don't touch the churches. We're not allowed to listen to them. God comes before Obama and his friends.
Depends on who your God is. God's chosen people. You take a look at what's... Oh, by the way, the Knesset just passed a law that they're going to start executing all the Palestinian prisoners. Yeah, all those kids. And we're talking, thousands and thousands and thousands of prisoners. And they don't get any appeal. They don't get to talk to a lawyer. They don't get to see their family. No. We're just going to start executing you. And they popped champagne bottles. They were celebrating it. I mean, this is the mindset of this entire culture over there. And yet they are telling you that they're God's chosen people. God said, "I will bless those who bless Israel and curse those who curse Israel." That is a lie. But then again, didn't Jesus say in John 8:44 that your father's a devil? He's the father of the liar. And you anyway, I don't have it in front of me here, but John 8:44 spells it right out. That's what they do. They are charged to do that. As a matter of fact, let me see if I have enough time for this clip. Yeah, I think I can put this
Israel, the country whose prime minister has a warrant out for his arrest by the International Court of Justice for war crimes, our very own health secretary, in a text to Mandelson, spoke about the war crimes of Israel. And yet, doesn't seem to be of any interest to our media here, that yesterday, to whoops of joy and literally the popping open of bottles of champagne, the Israelis passed a law that allows them to hang Palestinians, Muslims and Christians in the Holy Land.
There you go.
But not Israelis.
There you go. There you go, folks. This is our greatest ally, right? Our greatest ally. And all you Zionist Christians out there, you've got to open your eyes, pull the scales off. What was that story? I'll have to share it sometime. The guy that says, I'm looking for the preacher who lied to me. Well, there's a whole bunch of them that are lying to you. Oh, gosh, Hoagland and Hagee and Meyer and all, there's so many out there that are basically lying to you. So, yeah. Anyway, in the meantime, let me see if I got another quick clip here. Yeah, everybody's saying that there's something coming, something really earth-shaking, really of biblical proportions is coming real soon. And let's see what this guy had to say.
Oh, shit.
No.
If what I was just told is true, we better all be ready. Follow this page, watch this till the end, because I'm trying to make sense of this myself. I just got a message from someone I trust, a staff sergeant in the U.S. Air Force currently stationed at Anderson Base in Guam. Now listen, I'm not saying this is confirmed. I'm telling you what was said to me. He said things have felt off behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Not panic, not chaos, but movement. Quiet movement. He mentioned unusual briefings, last-minute schedule shifts, and certain personnel being told to stay ready without being told why. And here's the part that caught my attention. He said, sometimes you can feel when something is coming, even if nobody says it out loud. Now again, this could be nothing. Could be routine. Could be precaution. Could be something we'll never hear about. But then he added this. If something does happen, don't expect to hear about it right away. And that's where this gets interesting. Because think about it. If something big were to unfold, would everything stay online? Or would things go quiet first? Would information slow down? Would platforms lag or disappear for a period of time? I'm not saying that's happening. I'm asking the question. Because we've seen smaller versions of that before. So the real question is, if everything went dark tomorrow, where would you go to find out what's actually happening? That's exactly why the In Spite of Private Signal Network exists.
How about a shortwave radio?
Real people, real-time signals, no algorithm deciding what you see. Because if something does shift, you don't want to be the last to know.
Yeah, you don't want to be the last to know. So I'm not quite sure what's going on, folks, but I think that a lot of people are feeling it. I know, like I was saying, that's why I took the day off yesterday. I was absolutely exhausted. But I'm just hoping that the spirit is within you. Just stand in the light. Don't crump, okay? All right, that's going to wrap it up for today's Tuesday edition of the WTF Reports. And boy, I suck at self-promotion and advertising. I didn't even talk about Get More Tank or the Wave Watch or anything, and I should do that. But so I'll ask you to take the initiative. Go to our website, TheWTFReports.com. Do business with our advertisers and pick up some merch. Help us to pay some bills here. All right, that said, I'm out of here. You have a wonderful and blessed day. God bless you all. Stay safe, stay free, and God willing, I'll see you tomorrow.